survival after the next shoe falls, and he's going to share with us some of his stories and what it's like to be in some of the most desolate regions of our country, and maybe give us some tips on how to do that and survive. He's found himself unplugged from society for quite a long time, and here and there, and we're anxious to talk to him. Frank, nice to have you. Where are you calling in from?
I'm calling from the Kansas River. That's 115 river miles off the Parks Highway.
Well, good for you. How's the weather? How's the weather there today?
Oh, actually, it's quite warm. It's about 15 above. We had a Chinook blow in, but it was 50 below about a week ago.
Whoa! Wow.
Alaska is a land of great extremes. You got to be prepared for whatever happens.
Wow. Well, you're a fascinating guy. What in the world led you to leave the busyness of the big city and head out?
Well, I was born in Hackensack, New Jersey. But as soon as we moved to a farm in North Jersey, and I got my first understanding of there was a real world out there beyond the man-made one, let's say, put it this way, I appreciate the unimproved works of God over the works of man. And there's a certain element of freedom that's valid that most people have no comprehension of. Mm-hmm. But the purpose of this book isn't, I mean, that sounds good, it's nice, but we are living in an era that I believe all of our country people have been lulled to sleep after 9/11. And I wrote this book to knock them out of their comfort zone, because I believe that we will be attacked. Supposedly by surveys, over 70% of the people believe there will be a nuclear attack on our soil. And this book goes over that. It's fiction, but after the initial attack, I incorporate all the knowledge that I've amassed in a near half a century of living out a subsistence life. I mean, I didn't go run and hide under a brush pile. That wasn't my purpose. I ran to, not from. But people have to realize that we live in a dangerous world. Mm-hmm. And this is, we've been lulled to sleep. We've been called the great Satan by the Islamic radicals. But since abortion, and now with this homosexual nonsense, and we've abandoned our principles, our history, the natural laws of life. We have shaken. People are on the other side of the world are against us with absolute determination.
All right, let's talk about where are some of the areas that you've gone to get away?
Where have I been?
Yeah.
All over the interior. Right now I live on the Kansas River. I still have a homestead on the Nowitna. I've been on the Anoka. I've been up the Shinjek. These are just names down Beaver Creek. I was down southeast working on a prospect. I've been trapping. I'm a registered guide and prospect. That's all I've done for it'll be a half century in a few months.
Now, you took your family with you and your 4 boys. It must have been quite impacting on their lives as well.
Well, yes, absolutely. And we're working on another book on straight survival, which I want each one of the boys to contribute to. Mm-hmm. I had 2 of the boys were born right out, one in a tent, one in a little cabin. I wouldn't advise people to do that because you're taking their life in your hands. But we were young and lived on the edge.
Yeah.
And I don't advise people to do that. And we could have had a catastrophe, but the Lord was with us and it didn't happen.
All right. What was it like after being in the wilderness for those long periods of time to come back into somewhat, society and back into where things were pretty active and take a look at what's happening technology-wise?
Well, I'm I'm computer illiterate, and I have no intention to become otherwise. I'm 72. In fact, I had a kidney taken out this past summer, and I'm semi-kind of retired. I still do a little bit of everything, going out prospecting this summer. But there's a transitional phase, but I do my best to keep pace by radio with what is going on in the rest of the world, and I think it's an obligation that each citizen should have. Instead of, a lot of people they don't even want to hear the news. They're so preoccupied with their little day-to-day lives. They see, hear, and speak the evil and don't want it. It makes them uncomfortable. I want to make them uncomfortable. Probably the strongest passage about why I wrote this is in chapter 18 of the book of Revelation, where I believe New York to be economic Babylon, and that it is targeted. It's been targeted twice. I felt this way 30 years ago. It's the only place on the face of the earth in all of the history of mankind where all kindred, tongues, and nations come together. Through the United Nations, through world trade. There are also more Jewish people there than any place else on the face of the earth, other than Israel. And this is why it is targeted. And I look at Revelation as a book of, I'm trying to think of the word to describe it, where you have transparent overlays, like looking at the human body or the mechanism of an engine. You have to correlate these pieces. But once if the Holy Spirit can guide you when you do it, if someone could, I'd love to hear the argument, what other place on earth, other than New York City, could that ever be? It's not any city that ever existed. It wasn't ancient Babylon. No ships could ever go to ancient Babylon.
From your experience, Frank, can somebody just leave the city and go to the wilderness and survive and make it?
Someone would have to, first you'd have to have the gut level of motivation within your heart and soul. That would be a good plus.
Right.
Without that, I don't think anyone could do it. People our over-urbanized culture has lost touch with the natural elements of life.
Yeah.
And it's a process that you would have to go through. This book, I believe, will help. I should plug it again. This is the first opportunity I've had to do this, by the way. It's the first time I've really been on a national show in my life.
Well, you're doing great.
Survival after the next shoe falls. Check it out on Amazon. I knew through a fellow who tried to set this stuff up, and he said, "Be sure you plug it." And I have to. It's just the way the game's played, so to speak. I hate to feel like that, but
no, that's fine. Part of your passion here, Frank, is to, and the book, is to give people somewhat of a survival guide, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely. That once the initial thing happens, from there on, I'm incorporating concepts. If I was there, what I would do, and applying them to the day-to-day, how they would go about doing what they're doing. And that's the purpose of it. While it's fiction, it's only fiction on the onset. After that, it's a young couple fighting for survival, fighting for their freedom, and in a world that's turned upside down, in a nation that just went crazy.
Do you suggest a media fast for people?
I couldn't copy that. Please repeat it.
Well, would you suggest that people just maybe turn off some of these devices and go on a fast from technology?
I think they're a basic, yes, absolutely. I think they should get involved physically. One thing, if you're interested in survival any way, shape, or form, get in shape. I'm serious. I mean, if you're carrying an extra 50 pounds, extra pounds of blubber around, it's not going to do you any good, I'll guarantee you.
Yeah, right.
And that's an epidemic in our country. I hear it all the time on the radio.
Yeah. What are your 4 boys doing now?
Well, they're scattered around the country. The closest one is he's a pilot. He's a mechanic. He flies out to remote mines.
Wow.
He lives at Indiana. Another one was working. Sounds kind of strange. They had to go out and try different things in the world. Another one is worked on the barges on the Mississippi. I mean, it's kind of strange. And the other one, it seems kind of fun. They would get spaced out. Another one is in Oregon, Colorado. He's in transit right now from one job to another.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Excuse me. How did you decide that Alaska was the perfect place to raise a family?
Well, I didn't decide it from that perspective. I came to Alaska. I was single, and I was driven here because it was the last frontier, and I chased this American frontier to the very end. Actually, civilization, if you go around the planet from where it began, where does it end, till it finally ends, you meet up again. It's Alaska. And I thought about going to Canada, but there are a lot of problems going to Canada as not a citizen. But I had to pass that up. That was my first choice.
Oh.
That was to go to Canada. But it's difficult, and especially to be a trapper. That was my main motivation, to be a trapper.
Wow.
And from there, I've branched out guiding and prospecting.
Wow.
So that's how I paid the bills most of the years. I was a trapper. And we put a big garden in, and we caught fish, we hunted our meat. My wife sewed a lot of our clothes. But we didn't do it like we're back in the Stone Age, or we're worried about mapping flint or having to tan everything. And we didn't have to do that. We were doing with practical application.
All right. Well, the book is named, let me encourage you to get a copy of it. It's called Survival After the Next Shoe Falls by Frank Walter. Check it out at Barnes & Noble or online at Amazon, and I think you'll find it to be a fascinating read. Well, thank you for letting us have your first interview. You did a great job, and let's stay in touch.
We'll do that. I really appreciate the opportunity to be on your show.
All right. God bless you, Frank. Talk to you soon. All right. We'll be right back on Focus Today.